Hi everyone, Lisa Haven here, and I've got a huge report on net neutrality. Here's what they're not telling you about net neutrality itself. Now, all over the news, you've heard talks about even Donald Trump's man saying this is a great thing, it is a good thing that it has been repealed. No more net neutrality. And I agree 100%. Anything that people like Nancy Pelosi and Barack Hussein Obama support, that throws a red flag for me. And a lot of them are saying we just killed the internet by repealing net neutrality. Well, let me tell you the ins and outs of what they're not telling you, what the opposing side isn't telling you about net neutrality, because I'm going to break it down for you, and I want you to hold on for this one because there's a lot of information, and I'm going to put it as simply as I can. But net neutrality is not a good thing. Why? Because ultimately, well, look at the past 2 years that we've had net neutrality thanks to Obama, and what happened? The internet did the opposite of what they said. We had more censorship on Google, on Facebook, on Twitter than ever before in these past couple of years with net neutrality in place. So you cannot tell me that it stops the blocking of certain websites like they're attempting to claim. Now, here's where it all started and began. Now, generally, there are two types of ISPs, internet service providers, or two sections of those. We have your first one, which is your last mile carrier. That would be who you pay monthly your internet service to. Some examples would be through your phone line, your coax cable, your fiber, your wire, whatever's going to your home. But that's who you pay your monthly services to. The second one is called the back end or the backhaul carriers. They're more of the big corporations, the big companies that make up the whole internet thing, and they invest trillions and trillions of dollars to run and continue the fiber optic cables everywhere on the internet. Well, the backhaul carriers got together and formulated a kind of plan to make this internet thing work. And they came up with a fair way to make the process, and the process in which they called symmetric peering arrangement. That was born out of all these big corporations talking about how to work the internet. Now, what is symmetric peering arrangement? Basically, you have lots of data and I have lots of data, so let's equally share the data among each other. I have so much, you have so much, I can go to your network, you can go to mine, and we won't charge each other. It's completely free for me and free for you when we use the same amount of data. It's an equal process and a great idea. Now, what happens if one comes in, one big company, corporation, or whatever it is comes in, and they are using more data than the freely allotted data that equals out? Well, that then is called asymmetric peering arrangement, when one uses a little more data than the other. So what is the resolution to that? What if one company hogs off a portion of it and is using a ton, or using way below, if you will? Well, let's say they use a lot more. Well, in this case, then they work out, okay, you pay for the overage of data that isn't equally shared between us. So anything over the shared amount, you're going to pay a lump sum for that overage data. And here's the kicker. This is what basically led to the internet. All this data working and network sharing and these processes, the asymmetrical peering arrangement, all this led to the open internet that we have today. Now remember, anyone and everyone can get on this system and share the data, or share the exchanges within each other, within the network. Anyone can do it. So anyone's welcome aboard. Well, along comes Netflix. And Netflix gets on the system and they start using a whole lot more than everyone else. Therefore, they fall in the category of the asymmetric peering arrangement. Why? Because they're using massive amounts of data. Well, so the big corporations get in and they say, hey, Netflix, you're using more data. You have to pay like everyone else. Well, Netflix throws a big fat fit about it and is upset that they don't get it free. Kind of like your average everyday liberal. They want everything free. And me and you work and cut the bills and work our butts off in our corporations for a handout to everybody else. I don't agree with that. Well, this is kind of what Netflix was bothered about, and they threw a big fat fit. along comes net neutrality. Now remember, I'm giving you the shorter version of what's happening with Netflix, and they believed at some point they were being throttled. Basically what they were doing to people, they were accusing Verizon of. But anyway, the CEO of Netflix goes on to Silicon Valley and does this interview, and he basically says, evil Verizon is throttling us, and we need to solve this problem via net neutrality. And that's why he came out with his support of net neutrality during that whole time, when from the get-go, they were one of the biggest complainers of a system that wasn't broken, that was already working just fine. They just wanted a handout. Clear and cut. That's the truth. Now, in the end, what happened? Well, Netflix finally gave in and paid their cut, and the entire problem was solved. Netflix did what they needed to do to get their extra connections like everyone else was doing, and therefore the problem was fixed. Well, net neutrality was still on the table regardless that there wasn't even a problem, and here we have net neutrality on the table. Now, net neutrality claims to basically stop your ISPs, your internet service providers, your last mile, your backhaul in there, to say, okay, well, they're not allowed to cut this off and block this and block that, right? That's what net neutrality claims to do. They claim to open up those gateways by giving it to the FCC or giving it to a government organization and saying, okay, here, government, you handle it, government, you regulate it. Well, things that are regulated by the government are not always smooth, but that's kind of what the net neutrality is doing, and I'm kind of trying to put just an overall banner on this so everybody gets it. But here's the thing, net neutrality never really stopped the blocking and the censorship. Here's something else to think about. In the past 2 years, my channel here on YouTube has been censored more than any other time in the history that I have been doing YouTube channels. If you've heard and seen my Facebook posts, my Twitter posts, and not just me, multiple outlets, anyone who's a conservative, anyone who's Christian, anyone who's a capitalist, anyone who doesn't fly with the liberal agenda, anyone who is a Trump supporter now, has been blacklisted, put at the bottom of the barrel, and censored high time. Google has recently delisted a good friend of mine, Next News Network, and put him at the bottom of the barrel, so you can't even have an organic search of it anymore. And they're doing that to all the channels, all during the time of net neutrality that's supposedly supposed to stop it. Well, in the past couple of years, it has gotten worse than ever before. So let's just take this as a whole. Does net neutrality really do what it claims to do? Hell no. And how do I know that? Because I've seen it the past 2 years, and I've seen what actually happens. And the truth is, there wasn't a problem that needed fixing in the first place. So we need to keep it or at least keep it out of the hand of the FCC, the hand of the government, and keep it on that open forum, because I believe we have a better chance of having that open and free internet. Here's one last thing I want you to think about. Organizations like Facebook, Twitter, and Google, YouTube, those things, and falls under Google now, those organizations are your biggest censorship lions, censorship prowlers. They censor any and everyone that doesn't agree with their agenda, and they're doing it hardcore. They got a monopoly, and they're taking advantage of those monopolies that they have. Fully illegal, in my opinion, but nonetheless, they are some of the biggest companies that have pushed for net neutrality. You have to ask yourself why. Why is Facebook pushing for it? Why is Twitter pushing for it? Why is Google pushing for it when they're the ones censoring you? Good question. All I have to say in the end and in the conclusion, anything that Barack Obama is supporting and anyone like Nancy Pelosi and those on the far left, well, I see a huge red flag in that, and I know exactly where that's headed, and that's headed into communist-style censorship. Go to North Korea, go to all these other countries, and they have massive censorships where you're not allowed to see certain things. China is a very big no-no as well, where they censor it hardcore. I don't know about you, but I want to keep my internet free. Anyhow, please make sure with everything that's going on with net neutrality, you are on a VPN, because look, evil can corrupt on both sides. We're not going to have anything perfect. So yes, the ISPs, the big corporations can go corrupt as well. They already are. That's a fact. and one has one corruption, the other has one corruption, so we're a bit screwed. That's why I tell everyone, get on a virtualshield.com/Lisa Haven. Get on a VPN. Protect yourself with everything that's going on with net neutrality. No matter which way the cookie crumbled, you need that extra added protection. So virtualshield.com/Lisa Haven. Right now it's 20% off. Huge deal. I believe it's going through Christmas. So make sure you click the link below, go there, sign up for that as well. And they have little extra packets and stuff that you can sign on, but it's literally under $5 a month. It's a huge deal. Well, thanks again for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.